All right, everybody, I'm here at Speed. You guys might recognize this guy, Daniel.
How's it going, guys?
Very exciting day. Got the kiddos. Say hi, kiddos.
Hello.
And as you can see, number 6 is loaded up on my trailer. We're gonna go head out and go cruise. But Daniel gave me the full walkthrough. Got all the new updates and everything, and got the new windshield on and ready to go, huh?
Yeah, we just walked through the checklist, make sure we got all his ordered accessories, give him a little rundown on fluids, temperatures, and operating procedures. So now it's all yours.
And Daniel did say they're gonna go ahead and email me PDF of the owner's manual.
Yeah, absolutely.
So have all the basics of doing the oil fluid changes. These guys did a fresh fluid change, so I should be good for a few hundred miles.
Here's Jeff coming to shine up the windshield for you.
There we go. Here's the man who designed the windshield. A lot of people are excited to see this windshield. They've been asking, what's the windshield? Nick, are your Chupacabra mirrors gonna fit? We will make it happen.
So it's real automotive glass, laminated, curved, triple pane glass, laminated. Yeah, exactly. Floating. So
it's a real nice day here in Havasu. I think it's like 82 for the high. So I'm gonna be cruising with my kids today, just more of a break-in ride. So I'm gonna leave it on, see how it goes. Crescent box installed. I went over here to the side so I can get the spare over here. I did get a rectangle box, which I might use for a Baja trip. What do you guys think?
I love it. Yeah. I'm gonna get in.
All right, we couldn't leave Havasu without getting a little ride in, so got my boys. We're gonna see if we can make our way towards the cabin, do a little break-in ride, make sure everything feels good before we head home. First ride in the Speed, give me a oh yeah. Made it here to the log cabin, about 20 miles from Standard. Yeah, there's all kinds of cool stuff here, huh? Running it with the windshield. Ran a little warm. We kind of stopped for a second to take a pee break, but all in all, really good so far. So I think I was maybe a little harsh on it when I drove the number 18 with the 35s. The power and the brakes are noticeably, better working, of course, with the stock 32s. So we'll talk more about that in a later part of the ride. I'm gonna go take it out on my local trails tomorrow. But so far, so good. Beautiful day out here. Stoked I got to show my kids this. We're gonna go explore and show them all the little knickknacks.
I just found a credit card, Dad.
So Sunday we're out putting some more miles on the Speed. We're taking it to Utah next week. So out here with some buddies, Brent from American Engineering. You guys have seen him on the channel a bunch. My buddy Guy, who knows the area very well. And it's cool. We're doing some low range stuff. Had some fast washes earlier, but cool to put this thing in the locked front diff because I'll be doing a lot of that here coming up to Utah. So just giving it a good shakedown, making sure everything's all good and tidy. And so far it's fun. It's very fun to drive, and I'm actually really enjoying driving the car on 32s. I think I'm gonna reserve the right to change my mind. I've said a bunch of times how I can't wait to put 35s on this thing, but everything about the car seems to work better on the smaller, lighter weight tires. So very much enjoying it. I took the windshield off today. The temps on the car are great. We have beautiful weather today for May. It's 85 degrees out, and so it's just an awesome day to be out exploring. So enjoying everything. I think the tires have a little bit too much pressure. The tire sensors are working, which is very cool. And just exploring some stuff that's new to me, but it's not far from where I normally ride. So we're gonna keep cruising along and go grab a burger, but all good so far. So first couple good rides, and then here we are in Sand Hollow. As soon as we get here, I wanted to run this road section just because it's a fun clip to shoot. I think it looks awesome. Wanted to post it on social right away. And one thing I learned, I thought the car was low. I called Robbie Gordon and he said, yeah, I mean, from the factory, they're a little on the low side. He recommended 16 inches of ride height with somebody in it. So before we left, we raised the car up with the preload rings and got this thing to about 17 and a quarter static without me in it. Looking at the car, I think it looks and feels amazing right here. You have even better small bump compliance, and it never feels like it sways or would ever get up on two wheels. So as I felt that ever since driving all these different speeds, I just wanted to kind of lift the car up and see if it would benefit, and I felt like it did. And this is the only adjustment I did to the suspension so far. I never played with the crossover rings. I never played with the compression or rebound clickers. The more I drove it, the more I liked it, the better it felt, and all these other clips you're about to see are just with this ride height. Morning everybody from Sand Hollow. You see what it is, we're lining up, it's Rally on the Rocks, taking the speed on the rocks. I'm a little nervous, I'm a little anxious. I've been up Double Sammy a couple times, once in the Can-Am, once in the Turbo S. Played around a little bit with this thing with the locking diff back home, some trails by my house. Wasn't nearly as technical as what we're about to get into. But got the ride height correct, talked to Robbie Gordon. He didn't talk to me almost daily, guys. He's obsessed with making sure everything's right, and it's really cool. It's not just because, you know, of my little YouTube channel or whatever, but really just wants to know and gather feedback. But what he was saying is we want the car to be 16 inches of ride height with people in it. So we jacked it up to 17, and that should get us close. I noticed it was low the other day when I was going through some rocks by my house, so it's gonna come in really handy on this stuff. I'm keeping the 32s. I just aired down to 10 PSI. Probably should go a little lower, but it's a heavy car. Gonna see how she works. Double Sammy's a 7 rated trail. We post some content. A lot of you guys probably heard of that trail. It's very popular. And I love being back in Sand Hollow, man. It's like my home away from home, and just excited to have this opportunity, excited to have the car. A lot of people have been coming by saying hi, saying like, you know, congrats, I got one on order, and so cool to see. So all the Speed faithful, you guys have seen shipments are starting to show up, and I think it's gonna get more exciting. Can't wait for the first 500 cars to get out there. So we're gonna get to it. Wish us luck, we'll see how she goes. All right, Wes's first time up the chute. Easier than you thought, harder than you thought?
Honestly, easier than I thought. I think most people say that, but it's definitely steep. But if you don't think about it and you just go, easy throttle, like 2,500 RPM, 3,000 RPM, and then just go.
You think some of the other obstacles we already did were more difficult than this one?
I mean, more difficult, but not as long.
So the rock crawling went good. I was pretty excited about it after I got up the chute. A little nervous about doing the chute because I hadn't done it in a while, but rock crawling with a 4-seater is just more enjoyable for me than a 2-seater. Enjoyed the power modulation. You hear that clicking noise. Unfortunately, that's the wheel bearings. We're going to have to re-grease them. But fast forward here to the next day, to Friday, and here we're shooting some clips with a magazine. They wanted to do a feature of the Speed, of course. And this is a good opportunity. Of course, we wanted to shoot our Can-Am as well, just to get more content since we're out shooting with our fancy new camera. And this is going to be kind of good. You're going to see some clips of running the fence line, which is really rough right now, I would say. Running back and forth and just seeing how the cars react back to back. So I wanted to stack these clips and give you a good idea of a lot of you guys, of course, own Can-Ams or know what they are and know how they react. And you've probably seen the journey of the build of this Can-Am and understand I just got the suspension dialed by MTS. I'm very excited with how this car works right now. I got the weight low, of course, with our B2G. And here we go. Here's the fence line. And Sand Hollow is just a great place to drive vehicles. I've driven here so much that I know how it feels. And with the sand and the bumps, the turns, you can just definitely feel what works good about the car. And starting to realize how good the speed works when the terrain gets rough. Like, it looks like the Can-Am's moving around here, which it is. But I could hit this section back and forth in the Can-Am about 55 miles an hour before things start to get a little bit hairy. And with the speed, I can easily go like literally 10 to 15 miles an hour faster. And of course, we're talking 2-seat, 4-seat. But to say the speed is confidence inspiring in this terrain is an understatement. I mean, if you look at this thing here, it just eats, and it's very easy and simple to hit the big bump. So it's what I hoped it would be in that regard, everybody. And I think that's going to be the shining crown jewel, is how good the suspension works on the little chatter, how good it works in the big bumps, and how all that works together in terms of keeping it planted in the turns, not ever feeling like you're going to bicycle it, which the Can-Am does get that feeling. I've got a couple clips of doing that as well. So hope you dig these clips. I thought they were awesome. Morning, everybody. It is Saturday. We're going up Double Sammy again. We sponsored this trail twice. Made it up the other day. Learned a lot. This is gonna be my fourth time tackling the trail, so I'm feeling like I got more confidence in the rocks. This thing did pretty good. I'll talk more about it when I get home. You can hear me better. But yesterday we had a leak. A lot of people were posting about it, you know, making fake accusations. But we did realize about the motor. But we realized that we had a leak with the power steering. There was an AN fitting that came loose.
Here, it was loose. So
shout out to Jacob, Wes, David, my dad's buddies, all these guys, Patrick, Grant, Mike, all of you guys, Curtis, you guys helped get this thing all dialed and buttoned up. So we are back going. Small little setback, got some power steering fluid. It takes GM power steering fluid, and we're topped off and good to go. And then we noticed the other day there was a little bit of a water leak, but it was just an overflow hose clamp that we learned as well. We had the whole back end taken apart. So we're good to go. We're excited. I'm excited to do some more rock run, and then we'll go run some fast stuff and a night ride tonight. So we'll catch up later. We'll see how this goes.
Stop, go right up it, beautiful traction. You're looking real good from the back.
I did get the locker put in before that stretch. And that's a...
Okay, come in. You're right, you're lined up. There you go. Nice job.
Thanks for allowing me to sponsor. I love this event. Thanks to Rally on the Rocks trail guys for getting us all up safe. On trail, one of the sponsors of this trail, I've been coming to this event for a couple years. Chupacabra Off-Road. We're based out of Phoenix, Arizona. We manufacture parts for UTVs. We're most known for our mirrors, side mirrors, center mirrors. We have a cool storage solution for the Can-Am X3. We make clothing, but that's a little bit about us. We started our brand as being a passion enthusiast, which is one of the reasons why I love this event so much, because we get to come ride and use that idea and experiences to develop into our products. And that's what we really try to do, is just differentiate. So an example would be offering mirrors. You can mount any type of light you want and adjust it independently. No one else had done that. Same thing with the storage on the Can-Am, things of that nature. So thanks everybody. I'll be brief. We brought some swag. If you want to learn more about us, we're everywhere on social. Our website is chupacabraoffroad.com. Thank you. Thank you. I think first I need to get a bridge. You want to roll it down? You want to try it again, or you want to come out? Go on my way. Okay, so first 262 miles on it. There is a little bit of a highlight of what we did. Notice some more about the vehicle once we took it to Sand Hollow, because like I mentioned, it's a better environment for with a variety of terrain to really see what makes this speed tick. I'm very excited that we went there, and overall had a good trip. Definitely had a couple issues. So let's start off with what I think is good. Suspension, I've talked about this a couple times. Handling, it's phenomenal. I think it's probably the best stock UTV. We need to run it back to back with the Pro R, but I think the small bump compliance is better than anything stock on the market. I'd say that very confidently. In terms of eating up big bumps, when you compare it to something like a Live Valve Pro R, that remains to be seen, or even a 4-seat X3, but I think it'll take care of an X3 4-seater for sure in the rough terrain, and handle better because the wheelbase is a lot shorter in terms of it staying flat and stable as well. One thing I mentioned that I noticed as well when we talk about handling is that the trailing arms being a little bit shorter than the long trailing arms of like a Can-Am, is there's less teeter-totter, there's less overall of a, I'm just gonna call it like a boat movement, where there's excessive movement, and that's mitigated in the vehicle, the way it's designed and all that. So I think the bones of this car are very good. I've said that a couple times, and after going to Sand Hollow, I think that, like I said, the bones, the chassis, the geometry, the suspension, the size of the shocks, the way they did the valving, and when you get the proper ride height, I thought it was phenomenal. How it worked on the rocks, I was surprised. I was impressed. I think the power delivery is smooth. I made another video, we'll post a link in the description. You saw I was going up double Sammy for the second time, and the power started to stall out. Again, I think it's like a characteristic they have built into the ECU to keep guys from burning their belts, but I'd like it removed, because some of those other climbs in double Sammy, you can kind of see I'm giving it some gas, I'm trying to be smooth, but there's not a lot of torque. I almost want a little bit more power and torque there, where you do have to drive at 2 feet in some scenarios. So I had a little bit of a moment, where I learned that on the first time on double Sammy, and then I just, when I drove double Sammy again, I understood what I needed to do and line up a couple little straightaways and just keep my momentum going. The car is heavy, so once it gets going, I think with 10 PSI, the tire is definitely hooked up, and again, the CG and the lack of it feeling tippy or like it's going to sway excessively in those off-camber sections, I think really makes the speed a good crawler. It's a little bit harder to see out of, with the fenders, you can't see the wheels as much as other vehicles, but I was happy with it. I was stoked. So I think if we can get that ECU calibration adjusted, go back with some bigger tires, some 35-inch sticky tires, I'm going to have a lot of confidence in it. I think it's going to do good enough for me. I'm probably never going to hit 9 and 10 rated trails, unless I really go down the rabbit hole. I want to show you a couple clips of, my buddy Wes going up in his Turbo S, the chute, as well as the KRX, because I feel like the KRX is pretty much the king of rock crawling. Turbo S is also phenomenal, and how this would stack up compared to the other machines, maybe again remains to be seen, but I think, with the wheelbase of it and some of the attributes, it's surprisingly good. So most of us expected this car to be exceptionally good in the big bumps and the turns. It is. The rocks were, you know, no one really had a lot of expectation. I don't know how much rock crawling they did or how much that was part of the design emphasis of the speed, but I'm pretty stoked on it, and I feel confident going through trails like Double Sammy, no problem. In the future, maybe the maze, something that's a little bit more challenging. So maybe I'll tackle some bigger obstacles next time I go out there. Let's talk about some of the pitfalls, some of the things that we noticed. Starting off with just addressing the leaks that hit the internet last week. So I showed you the fitting that came loose in the power steering fluid. I took another UTV journalist, let's call it, out on a ride, and we got done with this ride and I could feel the power steering fluid go away. We pull into park. We see oil all over the engine bay. I don't know what it is, if it's the trans or the motor or the power steering, but it ended up being the power steering. So we spent a couple hours, took it all apart, bled it. The speed team was very helpful and responsive. One other issue that we had was we tore a CV boot. So I happened to have my extra rear axle. We ended up just replacing the axle. One of the guys in our group, shout out to Grant, he has an XX and he knew the process. I mean, I called Daniel when he walked us through it, but it was pretty simple and it's pretty cool the way they allow you to kind of set the circlip in and out so you're not dealing with fighting yanking it out of the transmission, and it was fairly simple too. So those are a couple of the issues that we had. You know, we just didn't want to have a mess with the CV as it started to kind of get oil all over the place, or excuse me, grease. And then we did have a little bit of the front diff leak. The front diff there, they kind of overfilled it and there's an overflow. I think they need to adjust the catch can on that. So not sure exactly where the leak is coming from, but it did leak some fluid and we did refill it towards the right before the last day when we did a lot of the working on the car there Friday night, so we could run Double Sammy again on Saturday. So those are the things that happened. You heard the clicking noise when I'm going up some of the rock sections. That wasn't that audible in the first couple rides, but it got really annoying, you know, by the time I got to Sand Hollow and played around on the rock. So I talked about it. I heard it a little bit. I talked to the team and they said, you know, go ahead and run it. But what it is are the bearings are light on the grease. So I ended up buying some big circuit pliers. I'll show you guys how to do it, but I'm going to go ahead and get into the wheel bearings and grease those up and see if we can get rid of some of that noise. I don't know if it's that or the CVs. I'm pretty sure Robbie and all those guys at the team think that it is just the wheel bearings, and I just don't want loud noises on my new car. I want to feel nice and quiet and not sound like it's something's coming apart or, you know, could cause some excessive wear. So as a whole, that's pretty much all that we encountered in terms of issues. Temperatures, I just want to mention the temperatures in Sand Hollow were not that hot. I think it barely got to 80 degrees. Temperatures of driving the car got pretty warm, particularly with the belt. So it seems like when you go, let's say, do a run up to the top of the world, you know, we did it with 2 guys in the car at 75 degrees, that the belt would get warm, but then it wouldn't really cool down like a Razor or a Can-Am when you put it in neutral and you just give it gas and then you go ahead and get some of the temperature out of it. So we saw some higher belt temperatures around 240. I talked to Robbie about it and he did say that where they've got the sensor located, the temperatures are pretty high, where I think a belt breakage is around 265 degrees. So close, but you know, something that I just want to notice and be transparent about. We didn't have any belt issues. I'll pull my belt cover off and check it and just see. I don't know if I glazed anything over anything. It didn't really feel like it. There weren't any scenarios where I felt like there was belt slippage. Again, on the rocks, it just kind of felt like there's a calibration to prevent you from driving with 2 feet. So you guys know if you spend some time on the rocks, driving with 2 feet is mandatory, and then having some nice smooth power to help you get halfway up a section, or you start to climb something and you don't make it, you need to have that ability to control the car in that regard. So that was my biggest takeaway or ask that I'd like to see improved, and I think it's probably pretty simple. You know, I think we saw some bolts that came loose on the tailgate, some of the things that we tightened. So, you know, I think it's kind of what I expected. This is a brand new car. I think the bones of it are really good, but there's a couple teething issues. So I hope all of us first 10 are, you know, we're all kind of working to make sure that they can get through these issues, because as you could imagine, you know, building this vehicle, you've got a lot of processes and humans touching certain parts and assembling things. And that's what I think happened with the AN fitting that came loose. We noticed another little screw came loose, which held a sensor also on the motor when we pulled it apart, and the same thing with the little hose clamp here's the photo of it, which was the overflow for the coolant. So we ended up not losing hardly any coolant, but these are all just, I think, really simple things that, you know, then you see a leak and then it looks bad. And then honestly, to do the power steering was a real pain in the neck, and it holds, I mean, almost a quart and a half or 2 quarts of fluid, and having to bleed it. And I think we might have to bleed it again. I'm not sure if we had enough fluid and we got it all topped off. So it starts to whine a little bit, you know, when the fluids, you know, when there are air pockets in it. So, you know, just some things. I'm more mechanically inclined, but I think the average UTV user, you know, could maybe cost them to throw it on the trailer and ruin their weekend because there was no power steering. So, you know, I'm more of one of those guys. You know, I've built a race car. I've been around racing. I've had, with my race car, I've had a lot of issues and challenges I had to overcome. So luckily I had a lot of friends there and support, a lot of guys that love helping. And like my buddy Wes, he just dug in and really like knew, you know, not knew, but we figured out how to solve everything and get it all fixed. And, you know, not being that big of a deal, I had some good fun bonding time in my dad's garage. So thanks, Dad. Thanks to everybody for helping out and keeping our weekend going and keeping the car running, because it would have been really hard to drive on double standard without power steering. So hope you guys like the content here. Of course, we're going to keep running it in a bunch of different environments. Comment below, let us know what you think. Let me know if there's any questions I might not have answered, and we'll see you on the next one.